Welcome dear learners. In today's lecture, we will focus on chapter 5th, which cover one of the most fundamental concept in strategic marketing, that is market segmentation. We will also explore the critical related concept of market targeting and product positioning. This three-step process, often called the STP model, provides a framework that helps companies shift from a mass market approach to focused strategic direction, essential for success in today's competitive environment. In this session, we will explore how and why companies divide a large diverse market into small and more manageable groups. Before we begin, let's establish our learning objectives for this session. By the end of this lecture, you should be able to first define market segmentation and understand its core objective. Second, understand the significant benefits that segmentation provides to a firm. Third, identify and explain the four major bases of variables that we use to segment consumer markets. Fourth, compare the different strategies a firm can adopt towards its market segments. Fifth, define the critical that makes a market segment truly effective and useful. Sixth, explain the process of market targeting, which is the next step after segmentation. And finally, understanding the concept of product positioning, which is how we create an image of a product in customer's mind. Let's start with the fundamental concept, what is market segmentation. At its core, segmentation simply refers to divide or demarcation. The starting point of this idea is to recognizing that any broad market is made of heterogeneous components or elements. What does heterogeneous means? It means the consumer are all different. They differ in their taste, their preferences, their income level, their buying behavior and their attitude. A single product will not appeal to everyone. So, the process of market segmentation is to take this large dissimilar market and divide it into smaller homogeneous clusters. Now, what is homogeneous means? Homogeneous means the people within that cluster share common or similar characteristics. Each of these homogeneous group is called as a market segment. Therefore, the entire process of dividing the total market into these smaller similar group is known as market segmentation. Now, let's look at couple of formal definitions. According to Philip Kotler, a leading voice in marketing, market segmentation is the subdivision of a market into homogeneous subsets of customers, where any subset may conceivably be selected as a market target to be achieved with distinctive marketing mix. Similarly, Stenson defined it as taking the total heterogeneous market and dividing it into several submarkets or segments, each of which tend to be homogeneous. You can see both definition highlights the same idea, moving from diverse total market to a small similar sub-market. This leads us to the objective. Why do we do this? The main goal are first to classify and group consumer based on consumer characteristics. Second, to design and launch an appropriate marketing strategy for each specific segment. Third, to target a specific market segment with clear aim of generating sales and profit. Fourth, to gain an competitive advantage by serving one group better than competitors who are trying to serve everyone. So, to become more customer centric by focusing deeply on the needs and wants of the particular customer group. And finally, to help decide a future market expansion. The objectives of segmentation leads directly to its benefit. The main purpose is to identify difference among buyers so we can adjust our marketing strategy. So, what is the practical payoff? What are the benefits of market segmentation? Let's discuss. First, it helps us to formulate effective marketing program. Instead of one generic message, we can generate tailored message that resonate with each group. It also helps us understanding the complex behavior of consumers. By isolating one group, we can study its needs more deeply. Related to this, the taste and preference of consumer can be more easily determined. So, segmentation can also help in locating new market. We might discover a small, underserved group that everyone else is ignoring. And ultimately, this process helps make marketing benefit to consumers themselves because products are produced and sold specifically according to their need, not just a company's. Let's pause for a brief recap of what we have covered so far. We have established the market segmentation, which is the essential process of dividing a large heterogeneous or diverse market into smaller homogeneous or similar groups. We do this for several key objectives, but the main goal are to become more customer centric, to gain a competitive advantage, and to design focused marketing strategies that are more effective than a one size fits all approach. The benefit of all this work is a much deeper understanding of our consumer, which in turn leads to more effective marketing programs and even the ability to locate new untapped markets. Now we move to the most particular part of our lecture. How do we actually divide the market? What variables do we use? There are called the base of segmentation. We can divide these bases into two very broad categories. First, we can segment based on consumer characteristic. This is about who the consumer is, focusing on their inherent trends. This category includes geographic, demographic, and psychographic segmentation. Second, we can segment based on consumer responses. This is about how the consumer behave, specifically their relationship to the product. This category is broadly called behavioral segmentation. As you can see from the diagram, these four geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral are the four main pillars of market segmentation. Let's explore each one in detail. Our first base is geographic segmentation. This is the most straightforward. Here we divide the consumer market on the basis of area or location. The underlying assumption is that consumers living in the same area exhibit similar characteristics and purchasing habits. The variables we can use are as simple as nation, state, region, countries, cities, town, or even specific neighborhoods. A classical example is McDonald's in India. The company adapts its menu based on regional taste. In North India, you will find offering like spicy paneer wrap and aloo tikki burgers. But in the South India, the menu may include dosa masala burger, the rice-based meals. This perfectly illustrates how consumer preference of products, in this case food, can differ significantly based on geography and local culture. Next, we have demographic segmentation. This is the most common and arguable most effective method of segmenting a market, primarily because these variables are easy to measure and often directly correlated with the need and wants of customers. Demography refers to the study of population. Let's look at the key variable. First is age. This is a powerful one, as consumer requirements clearly change with different age group. The need of a child aged 0 to 5 are completely different from a child aged 6 to 12, who is again different from a teenager. For example, Disney targets young children with its movies and merchandise, while brands like Nike and Adidas focus on teenagers' desire for style. Second is sex or gender. Many markets are divided into male and female segments, with different products offered based on their specific needs. The classic example is Dove, which market its skincare product to women, versus Gillette, which target men with its shaving products. Third is marital status. This includes segments like single, married, divorced, and so on. Each segment presents unique requirements. For example, travel companies like Make My Trip specifically target newly married couples with honeymoon packages, a product that would not be relevant to other segments. Continuing with demographic segmentation, another major variable is income. Here, the market is divided into different levels such as high income, moderate income, and low income segments. The automobile market is a perfect example here. BMW and Audi targets high income group. Hyundai and Tata Motors target the middle income group, and the Bajaj Auto two-wheeler cater to the low income segment. We also have education. This classifies the market based on education level of consumers from high school to graduate, postgraduate and beyond. An online platform like Coursera does this by offering short skill-based courses for undergraduate but highly advanced certificates or executive programs for postgraduate and working professionals. Next one is family size. It is another variable. We can segment based on families with 1 to 2 members, families with 3 to 4 members and 5 plus members. Real estate companies like DLF do this by advertising 1 BHK apartment for nuclear families or singles and 3 BHK or larger homes for joint or large families. Finally, all of these variables can be combined into the family life cycle. This describes the phases of an individual's development. For example, brand like Swiggy and Netflix focuses on convenience and entertainment for young singles. LIC or Horlicks on the other hand target families with children, focusing on security and growth. Each life stage has very distinct needs. Our third base, psychographic segmentation, moves beyond objective data like age or income. This is where we divide buyers based on their lifestyle, personality, and values. A critical concept here is that people within the same demographic group can have very different psychographic profiles. Think about two women who are both 30-year-old and have the same income. One might be homebody while the other is an adventurous. Demographics can't tell them apart, but psychographics can. Let's look at the variables. First is lifestyle. People lifestyles are expressed by goods they consume. For example, Nike targets consumers who live an active, fitness oriented lifestyle, summed up in their slogan, Just Do It. A different lifestyle is targeted by Maruti Suzuki with its Alto, where appeal to practical, budget conscious families, where the Mahindra Thar appeals to those seeking an adventure and off-roading lifestyle. Second is personality. Marketers can give their product a brand personality that connects with corresponding consumer personalities. Apple is a great example. Its brand personality is creative, stylish, and innovative, which attracts users who see themselves in the same way. On the other end of the spectrum, Harley Davidson appeals to consumers with a bold rebellion and freedom loving personality. Consumers often buy brands that reflect their own self image. The third and the deepest psychographic variable is value. Core values are the belief system that underlies consumers' attitude and behaviors. These values go much deeper than lifestyle or personality. They determine at a basic level people choice and desire over the long term. By appealing to people's inner selves, marketers can influence their purchase behavior. Let's look at some example in India. The Tata Group has built its brand by appealing to devout and enthusiastic consumer who value ethics, social welfare and trust. Another example is Amul. It promotes national pride and community values, connecting with consumers who value tradition and made in India products. In contrast, brands like Zara or OnePlus might appeal to strivers or fun seekers, people who are motivated by fashion, innovation, and social status. So, you can see that value based segmentation taps in the why people buy, which is the most powerful emotional motivation. Our final base is behavioral segmentation. This is a very powerful approach. Here we divide buyer into groups based on their actual knowledge of attitude towards use of or response to a product. Instead of asking who they are, we are asking what they do. Many marketers believe these variables are the best starting points for constructing market segments. Let's look at the key behavioral variables. First is occasion. We can segment buyers according to the occasion on which they develop a need, purchase a product, or use a product. For example, buyer purchase more clothes during festival occasion like Cadbury. Dairy Milk uses this perfect with its Kuch Meetha Ho Jaye campaign, which link in their chocolates to a specific occasion like Diwali, Raksha Bandhan, or Valentine's Day. Second is benefit derived. This involves classifying buyers according to the specific benefits they are looking for in a product. For example, Saffola oil does not just sell cooking oil, it sells the benefit of healthy heart. The toothpaste maker is another great example. Colgate offer Colgate Total for the complete oral care benefit, Colgate Sensitive for the pain relief benefit, and Colgate Kit for the taste and fun benefit. Next is user status. Markets can be segmented into non-users, ex-users, potential users, first-time users, and regular users. A company's strategy will be changing dependent on which group it targets. For example, Netflix relentlessly target potential users with free trial offers, hoping to convert them into regular users. Continuing with behavioral segmentation, our fourth variable is usage rate. Here we segment the market into high, medium and heavy product users. This is critical variable for many firms. Why? Because heavy users are often a small percentage of the total market, but they can account for very high percentage of total consumption. Marketers usually prefer to attract one heavy users rather than several light users. For example, Amazon Prime is a program designed to reward and retain heavy users of online shopping and entertainment by giving them benefits like fast delivery. Fifth, we have loyalty status. This divides buyers into groups based on their level of brand loyalty. Here we have four main groups. First one is hardcore loyals. These are the people who always buy one brand. Think of Apple iPhone loyalists who would never consider another brand. Second is split loyals. These consumers are loyal to two or three brands. They might alternatively use these products like sometime Colgate, sometime Close Up, or take an example of cabs like sometime Ola, sometime Uber, depending on price or availability. Next one is shifting loyals. These buyers shift their preference from one brand to another brand over time. For example, a smartphone user who moves from Samsung to OnePlus. And finally, switchers. This group shows no loyalty to any brand. They are typically price sensitive and will buy whichever detergent or toothpaste is on discount. We have two final behavioral variables. The sixth is the buyer readiness stage. A market consists of people in different stages of readiness to buy a product. Some are unaware of it, some are aware, some are informed, some are interested, some desire the product, and some intended to buy. Your marketing program must be designed to move people to the next stage. For example, with electric vehicle companies like Tata Motors must use broad awareness ads for those in the unaware stage, but offer test drive and financing options for those in the interested or intent stage. Our seventh and final variable is attitude. We can find five attitude groups in a market: enthusiastic, positive, indifferent, negative, and hostile. Marketers can use this to adjust their approach. For example, they will work to reinforce and thank enthusiastic voters or customers like Apple fans. They will try to win over indifferent voters, but they will likely spend on time or money trying to change the mind of negative or hostile voters, as it not an efficient use of resources. This was a very detailed section. So let's pause for another recap. We have covered the four major bases for segmentation. First, geographic. We segment the market based on where consumers are, such as by region or city. Second, demographic, which segments based on who they are using variables like age, income, and gender. Third, psychographic, which goes deeper to understand why they buy, looking at their lifestyle, personality, and values. And fourth, behavioral, which focuses on how they buy and use the product using variables like benefit, loyalty, and usage rate. In practice, marketers rarely use just one of these. The most powerful segmentation strategies use these bases in combination to create a rich, detailed picture of the target consumer. So, you have successfully used these variables to divide your market into segments. The next question is, what is your strategic approach? You have three main choices. The first strategy is called market aggregation, also known as undifferentiated marketing or mass marketing. This strategy essentially ignores segmentation. It considered the entire market of buyers as a single group. Here, the firm specializes in one product and tries to make it appeal to all segments of the market with a unique single marketing mix. This requires large-scale production and a brand distribution network. A classical example is a product like Pepsi, which is launched for everyone, irrespective of demography or psychographic differences. The advantages are clear. You get economies of scale from large-scale production, and you can minimize promotional cost because you only have one message. However, the disadvantages are also significant. This is a product oriented strategy, not a consumer oriented one. Consumers lack choices and its efficiency is very doubtful in the long run as a competitor enter who do target specific needs. The second strategy, and the one most people think of, is a market segmentation or differentiated marketing. This is the direct opposite of mass marketing. Here the firms has different products which are launched in different market segments. The market is divided and then specific products are created to satisfy the need of each specific segment. This is of course require different marketing mix strategy for each segment. You need different products, different pricing, different advertising, and different distribution. A great example is Imami, which has two distinct brands, Fair and Lovely for the female segment and Fair and Handsome for the male segment. The advantage is that you can attract all customer groups by meeting their specific needs, resulting in high sales and giving consumers the variety they want. The disadvantage is cost here. The overall cost of the production is higher because you are making a smaller volume of many different products. You also need different advertising campaign, more research and development, and your inventory cost go up. Our third strategy is concentrated marketing, which is also known as niche marketing. In this strategy, the firm's product focuses on very narrow defined segment of a market. This is often the strategy for small firms that have limited resources. Instead of trying to compete in a large, broad market, the firm chooses to operate only in one single profitable segment, leaving the rest of the market to the large players. An example might be a company that only make high performing running shoes designed only for professional marathon runners. The advantages are focus. The firms can utilize its resources optimally and can build a very strong defensive position against competitors in that one single small segment. The disadvantages, however, are all about risk. Careful selection of the segment is critical. If you pick the wrong segment, the product will fail. This segment is also often only successful in short run, as the product can unsuccessfully if competitors or new substitute become available. This brings us to a very important practical question. You can divide a market in 1,000 different ways, but is every segment useful? The answer is no. To be useful, market segment must meet 5 key criteria. First one is measurable. You must be able to measure the size, the purchasing power and the characteristics of the segment. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Next is substantial. The segment must be large and profitable enough to be worth serving. A segment should be the largest possible homogeneous group that is worth going after with a tailored marketing program. Next one is accessible. You must be able to effectively reach and serve the segment. Can your advertising get to them? Can your distribution network deliver the product to them? Next one is differentiable. This is a crucial one. The segment must be conceptually distinguishable and respond differently to different market mix. For example, if you segment by gender, but both men and women respond identically to your product and advertising, then you do not have to separate these segments from a market perspective. Next one is actionable. Finally, you must be able to formulate effective programs for attracting and serving the segment. Your company must have the resources, staff, and capacity to actually act on this segment. Let's have a quick recap of this strategic section. After you have identified your segments, you must choose a strategy. Your three main choices are: first one is undifferentiated marketing, one product for everyone, which is a mass marketing approach. Second, differentiated marketing, creating different products for different markets, which is the most common form of segment. Third, concentrated marketing, focusing all your efforts on one narrow niche market. And remember, not all segments are good segments. To be effective and useful, a segment must be measurable, substantial, accessible, differentiable, and actionable. This leads us perfectly from segmentation to our next topic, market targeting. Market targeting is the logical next step in the process. Once you have divided the market into effective segments, you must now decide which ones to enter. Market targeting is simply a process of identifying your target market from the total market. A target market is the specific group or groups of customers that your firm wants to satisfy. Once this group is chosen, the entire marketing mix, the product, price, promotional activities, and the distribution network is designed specifically for them. As the diagram shows, there are 5 main patterns or strategies for selecting your target market. Let's look at these 5 patterns using the P for product and M for market grid. First is single segment concentration. This is what we earlier called concentrated or niche marketing. The firm operates in a single market segment with a single product. For example, Mahindra and Mahindra focusing its tractors on the agriculture market. The firms gain deep knowledge of this segment, but it involves high risk. If that one segment declines, the company is in trouble. Second is selective specialization. This is a multi-segment strategy. The firm operates in different segments with different products. Each segment is profitable on its own. An example is the Zee TV network. Zee TV is for adult and housewives. Zee Jagran is for older, religious segment, and Zee Trend is for fashion lovers. This diversifies the risk. Third is market specialization. Here, the firms operates in different segments but serves them all with a single product. For example, a microscope manufacturing might sell the exact same microscope to 3 different markets: college laboratories, school laboratories, and university laboratories. The firms build a strong reputation for that one product across different customer groups. The fourth pattern is product specialization. This is the mirror image of the last one. Here, the firms operates in a single market but provide a variety of product to that market. The goal is to fulfill many needs of one particular customer group. Finally, we have full market coverage. As the name implies, the firms attempt to operate in all segments of the market with all varieties of products. This is a strategy that only very large firm can attempt. A company can do this in 2 ways, either through undifferentiated marketing, one product for everyone, or More commonly, differentiated marketing, different products for all the different segments. This brings us to the third and the final part of our STP framework, that is product positioning. You have segmented the market, you have targeted a segment, now you must position your product. So, what is positioning? It is the act of creating an image about a product or brand in the customer's mind. Kotler defined it as a positioning is the act of designing the company's offer and image so that it occupies a distinct and valued place in the target customer's mind. Here, the goal is to make your target customers see your product in a specific, unique, and desirable way, specifically when compared to some competitors. Think about the toothpaste market. Close-up toothpaste is positioned in the consumer's mind as a mouthwash, focusing on fresh breath and social confidence. Next example is Pepsodent. Has created an impressive in the consumer's mind as a germ killer, focusing on health and protection. Both are toothpaste, but they occupy different position in your mind. Positioning does not happen by accident. It is a deliberate strategic process that involves several key steps. First, you must identify potential competitive advantages. This means understanding what consumers truly value. The key is to understand their needs and buying processes, which is far better than your competitors do. So, you can deliver more value also. Second, you must identify the competitor's position. It's not enough to know what you want to be, or you have to know what your customer think of your competitors. Third, you choose the right competitive advantage. You will likely find several potential advantages. You must choose the one or few that will give consumers the greatest value, whether that are lower price or more benefits. This becomes your core positioning message. Now we have fourth, communicate the competitive advantage. A great position is useless if no one knows about you. You must take specific steps to advertise this advantage to impress it upon the mind of your target customers. And finally, step 5 is to monitor the positioning strategy. Marketers are not stagnant, they are always changing. Consumers taste, shift, and competitors react. After you develop your position, you must continuously track and monitor it to ensure it's remain effective. We will now conclude our lecture with final summary of this critical framework. Today, we explored the entire segmentation, targeting, and positioning, which is also called as STP model. We begin with segmentation, defining it as the essential process of dividing a large heterogeneous market into small homogeneous groups. We then reviewed the three main strategic approach: undifferentiated mass market, differentiated different products for different segment, and concentrated niche marketing, along with the 5 criteria for effective segments. Next, we move to targeting, which is the active selection of these segments, and we reviewed the 5 patterns for doing so, from single segment concentration to full market coverage. And finally, we covered positioning, which is the strategic act of creating a distinct and valued image for a product in the mind of a target consumer. And we outline the steps required to build and monitor that position. Thank you for watching this session. In the next lecture, we will move on the topic consumer behavior. See you in the next video.